Coming up in the news, the Governor General on Grands Bahama today visiting the Grands Bahama Health Service. Also, more talk surrounding the state of the International Bazaar. And a senior lawyer applauding a court ruling regarding custody of Bella Walker's body. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Jamila Missick. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Governor General of the Bahamas, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius A. Smith on Grands Bahama today, visiting the Grands Bahama Health Service. The annual visit has become a Christmas tradition. A special ceremony was held this morning on the grounds of the Ram Memorial Hospital under the theme Honoring Our Grands Bahama Health Heroes. During the Governor General's address, he noted that this visit is always special to him as he is able to commend staff members as well as visit patients during the Yuletide season. It was a grand occasion as His Excellency Sir Cornelius A. Smith and his wife, Lady Clara Smith, visited the Ram Memorial Hospital for the 23rd annual holiday visit. This year's theme, Honoring Our Grands Bahama Health Services Heroes. Bringing remarks was Chairman of the Public Hospitals Authority Board, Andrew Edwards, noting that there remains a commitment to redeveloping the Ram Memorial Hospital. Edwards adding that despite the serious realities on the ground, there is still much to celebrate.
On November 28th, Grand Bahama Health Services was recognized by the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization in their International Year of Health and Care Workers Virtual Award Ceremony. This recognition was made in celebration of your hard work and dedication throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. This feat is even more impressive when we remember that the pandemic followed close on the heels of the worst natural disaster in Bahamian history.
Bringing remarks on behalf of the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Michael Darville, was Minister for Grands Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie. Moxie sharing the importance of these visits.
The tradition of these official visits to our public hospitals kicks off the holiday season for our healthcare sector, as evidenced by the bright decorations throughout our institutions and agencies. Of more importance is the message these visits convey, reminding patients who may be confined to hospital during the Christmas holidays that they are not forgotten, that even in the quiet halls of a hospital, God's love and grace is with them.
His Excellency Sir Cornelius A. Smith noting that these events take a special place of prominence on his annual calendar. Touching on this year's theme, His Excellency commending all 728 staff at the Grands Bahama Health Services for their contributions.
Especially those of you who have worked on the front line, had to witness your friends, your colleagues, fight for their very lives. Many of you have witnessed them and came face to face with their death stare, and yet you sacrifice precious times with your families just to serve their needs. You are the real heroes, and I salute you. If I were to use a sports term, I would say that the members of the Grand Bahama Health Services are the real MVPs, most valuable players.
The Governor General also taking the time to sign a card of appreciation to the Grands Bahama Health Services heroes. Then he and his wife, Lady Clara, were given a tour of the hospital facility, where he was able to meet with staff and patients. The Grands Bahama Port Authority stating its position on the current state of the International Bazaar. The majority of the once thriving shopping mecca is now an abandoned, burnt-out shell after massive fire swept through this week. By way of a press release, the Building and Development Services Department is sharing the concerns of residents regarding the state of the dilapidated structures in the International Bazaar. Italia Hall has more.
The Building and Development Services Department of the Grand Bahama Port Authority says, as a part of their assessment program, the department periodically conducts evaluations at the International Bazaar to determine the structural steadfastness of the buildings. A review was conducted on September 26, 2018, where it was found that the structures met the minimum standards, provisions, and requirements of the Bahamas Building Code. In keeping with the code, in the absence of a building being deemed unsound, the company can only conduct demolishment exercises with the agreement of the building owners. In addition to this, the company oversaw the demolition of the previously fire-damaged structure that served as a police substation on February 22, 2021. The Building and Development Services Department noting that over the years, they have contacted the former International Bazaar Association president and building owners with the hope of establishing a partnership and receiving a commitment for the parties to resolve the state of the bazaar's dilapidated structures, adding that the recent fires have exacerbated the need to remedy this matter urgently. The company says the incident also highlights the need for environmental bylaws and various proposed amendments to the building and sanitary code to be approved by the government of the Bahamas for the GBPA to have the authority to effectively address this and many other environmental issues plaguing the city. The company also noting that immediately after the first fire, a team of inspectors from the department investigated the charred remains of the affected structures to reassess their condition and deemed the buildings to be structurally unsound and a safety concern. The Building and Development Services Department says, as a matter of urgency, they would like to impress upon the former president of the International Bazaar Association and all owners the need to swiftly consider the state of these derelict eyesores and the best course of action to be undertaken. These structures, including the City Associates Building, the Old Colombian Emeralds, Ginza Limited Building, and buildings in the African and Asian sections, in particular the China Temple and China Palace, which the department says were once iconic structures and now are a great safety concern, adding that an immediate remedy must be found in partnership with the owners. The Grand Bahama Port Authority ending the statement by encouraging building owners to renovate and maintain their properties, and in the case of derelict buildings in the community, demolitions are not always the preferred course of action unless a building is damaged beyond repair. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Chairman of the PLP and Minister of Foreign Affairs taking time out today to view the devastation caused by the recent fires in the International Bazaar. Minister Fred Mitchell says he was taken aback by the level of destruction. He is calling on the owners of the bazaar to take action on the way forward to eliminate the possibility of further devastation to the remaining structures on property.
This is simply disgraceful. In the middle of a developed, sophisticated city, that this exists. It's a blight. It's been a blight for more than 10 years. After the hurricane, the people packed up and left these hotels here. The International Bazaar collapsed. And I remember the days when I used to live in the hotel, when this was a bustling place. Christmas time was a special time in and around this, and now you have the city just burning in front of your eyes, and there just doesn't seem to be any specific response to this.
The minister noting that the government is not responsible for the abandoned buildings at the bazaar. However, he says they are working to attract investors to the island.
The government has an overall responsibility to govern in the best interest of the country, but this is a privately owned city. So its development, its management, whether these buildings continue to stand in this state, are all the responsibility of a private developer, not the responsibility of the government. Now, so we are in an advocacy role for the people here to say you have to live up to your responsibilities. I hope that this is taken down. That this isn't what people come to the city now when the government's now taken over the airport. When that's developed, you start getting people in. They can't be driving through a city seeing this everywhere. I mean, it just doesn't, it isn't right. It doesn't make sense. And there's just too much capital in this city to allow it to waste away the way it is.
Following Hurricanes Jean and Francis in 2004, a group of investors inquired about purchasing the International Bazaar. Tonight, a brand specialist who is a part of that group is admonishing stakeholders and owners not to tear it down without having a full understanding of the brand they are destroying. Ramiko Knowles reports.
Simply saying to them, do not tear it down without having a discussion. At least give us the opportunity for them to understand the value in the brand that they're about to destroy.
Over the past decade, a group of investors have attempted to reach out to building owners in the International Bazaar to discuss a partnership or an outright sale. However, nothing ever materialized. Brand specialist C. Allen Johnson explains.
Some of them were selling their units individually, and we needed the whole compound to rebirth what it is we were thinking of, because we were considering taking the same international theme with stores, restaurants, offices, as well as VRBOs, which is vacation rental by owners, which is a little bit more long-term as opposed to the bed and breakfast, which is short-term.
Johnson believes that the International Bazaar compound is the center of town as opposed to downtown Freeport. Now that there are discussions of tearing it down, he is concerned.
I think when you look at the time they've allowed this property to sit here, they've never took the opportunity to look at it as the value beyond the property itself. There's a brand value. If you was to examine with the word International and Bazaar together, it's worth $100,000 or more. The whole concept, just the branding of the International Bazaar, is probably exceeding $1 million. If someone understands the means to capture that and attach that back to some other buildings, so that's an added value. This place has been closed almost 2 decades, and it's still in the top search of Google.
The brand specialist says the International Bazaar is a major investment hub, and it's not just a building that will be destroyed, but also a brand.
Here's the problem I have. We are quick to move towards tearing down buildings without any concept or preparation of building back. The minute you tear this down, a message goes out to the world that the International Bazaar ceased to exist.
He says it's now time to bring the interested parties together to discuss a partnership in the way forward. He contends that the International Bazaar has the potential to be the rebirth of Grand Bahama.
This is one of the first commercial places in 1967, I think, that was built. So why not let's use this 55th year as a opportunity to rebirth Grand Bahama under the theme of Grand Bahama Reimagined, where we have a discussion of bringing Grand Bahama into the 21st century.
Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
In other news, a ruling by the Supreme Court paving the way for the father of 4-year-old Bella Walker to have access to her body for burial. This coming after Bella's maternal family filed a lawsuit to do so. You may recall that the death of the 4-year-old last month sparked national outrage after it was determined that the little girl suffered blunt force trauma and had suffered several fractures and later died. Tonight, a senior lawyer in the justice system is applauding the court's decision that ruled in favor of Bella's father to receive custody of her body for burial. Ramiko Knowles has more.
I'm very happy that the court ruled as it did because, for a long time, especially before the Status of Children's Act, the single fathers didn't have any rights.
Justice has prevailed, according to Constance McDonald, counsel and attorney at law. Weeks after the murder of baby Bella, the father began making burial arrangements. After hearing the plans for burial in Grand Bahama, the maternal grandmother fought to have custody over the body. But McDonald says the law has changed and the fathers now have rights.
Because before the Status of Children's Act, children couldn't even inherit from their fathers, single, if the father wasn't married to the mother. And what the Status of Children's Act did was it made them equal so that you no longer have legitimate and illegitimate children. You have children born in a marriage and children born outside of a marriage, which is how it's supposed to be. Because it's not the children's fault that they weren't born in a marriage, it's the parents' fault.
McDonald says she's dealt with many cases where fathers tried to be involved in the lives of their children, but the mothers would not allow it. She says it is wrong.
The children have just as much rights to have a relationship with both the father and the mother. So I was very happy with that decision. You know, I like how the male judges are taking the lead. You had the case with Justice Winder, and where he said that the child was entitled to have the citizenship of the father in certain circumstances, and now you have this case whereby the plaintiffs were coming saying that, oh, he was just a putative father and has no rights to the child, and the judge said no. Under the Status of Children's Act, they have equal rights.
The attorney at law also recalls cases where husbands filing for divorce did not seek custody of their children because they felt as though the court would automatically rule in favor of the child's mother. She says it is a misconception.
As far as I'm concerned, men can be, you can't just judge based on gender, that this woman will make a better caregiver for the children, because I have some male clients who are very caring and they care for their children and they love their children and they will never let anybody take advantage of their children, and that is what the court should be looking at. You know, how does this man care for his children?
In the case regarding Bella's father, she says all indications led the court to believe that he, along with his family, were good caregivers.
Therefore, I was happy when the court ruled the way it did.
From Eco Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Well, some good news for clients of Royal Bank of Canada. The $20 note will be reintroduced in branch ATMs across the Bahamas. According to Managing Director and Vice President Lasanya Mizik, the banking institution has heard from clients and listened to their feedback regarding the recent decision to change the bill mix in Bahamian ATMs. Based on that feedback, the notes will be available at all RBC ATMs that are co-located with RBC's branches and at the ATMs located at RBC's regional headquarters on East Hill Street in Nassau. RBC ATMs that are off-site, such as those found at grocery stores, gas stations, or convenience stores, will continue to offer notes in $50 and $100 denominations. Mizik adds that, quote, while our initial decision was based on data regarding client banking habits, we recognize the importance of listening to our clients and our communities. Sometimes we need to change course. Our clients are at the center of everything we do, and we want to continue providing them with more convenience and more flexibility when banking with RBC, end quote. Now, the reintroduction of the $20 notes at branch ATMs on New Providence took place between December 9th and 10th, while banknotes at Family Island branch ATMs will be re-added between December 10th and 15th. Stay with us, there's more news right after this break.